and watching these Facebook Lives. We had nearly 200,000 people watching last night. And I'm here with the very lovely Christina McFarland.
Hello.
Who's covering sports, which is this a dream sort of assignment for you?
This is the dream assignment for me, Sanjay. Yeah, my first ever Olympic Games, and so far it hasn't disappointed, although it has been slightly more eventful, I think, in the lead up than any of us expected.
Yeah, I can imagine. How do you, I'm going to ask you a few questions about the specifics, but how do you prepare for something like this?
Do you know what? I tried to prepare for 2 weeks. I went home, I got out the whole list of events going on here, I looked at some of the top athletes, and then just kind of threw it out, because how can you prepare for 46 different sporting events, you know? So obviously you know the key stories, the big things that are going to come out, but ultimately it's very much a reaction on the day to some of the surprise stories that we're going to see throughout the Olympics.
Yeah, you know, we were just joking around that sometimes I got to tell stories that are about terrorism, about Zika, about dirty water, things that people are worried about, and Christina gets to tell the stories of the things that people are excited about. And you're going to be at the opening ceremonies tonight. Is that right?
am going to look at this.
That is a hot item.
This is my ticket to the opening ceremony tonight, and I have to say this is a complete dream come true. Like I say, my first ever Olympic Games. I missed out on London, which was in my hometown.
Yeah, true. Yeah, what happened?
I just don't think I was around at the time. I mean, with CNN, and I just kind of missed it.
Still in high school.
I was, yeah, something like that. And now, yeah, so we've only got 1 of 2 tickets here at CNN, so I count myself to be very lucky indeed.
And she said she might even do a Facebook Live from there. We'll see.
Well, we'll see if, I don't know what the Wi-Fi signal is going to be like with maybe 80,000 people in the stadium, but we're definitely going to try and do something, because, you know, I think this one in particular, especially with this Olympic Games, is going to be something spectacular. You know, they know how to put on a carnival, don't they, Brazil?
I tell you, who has the other ticket? Yeah, who has the other ticket?
I tell you who has the other kicker, our good colleague, Coy Wire.
Oh, Coy!
Yeah, Coy Wire is going to be down there, but he's not actually going to be working, I have to say. I know, which I feel is perhaps a little bit cheeky. But
I want the tickets. I will work, Coy Wire. No, but I, you know, there are things, you know, it's been beautiful here. There are so many things to look forward to, and I want to make sure that as we're doing all this reporting about Zika and water, that the beauty here does not get lost of Rio and the people and all that. You've had a good week, it sounds like, overall. What are you most looking forward to?
I think for me, and this has always been my draw to the Olympics, it's been why it's the #1 event in my life that I've wanted to cover. It's because for every athlete here, this is the biggest day of their lives. It's going to, one of these days in the next 2 weeks is going to be the biggest day of their life, and this is why I'm so emotional. It doesn't matter what event you're watching. You know, I could be watching the handball or the fencing, but it's the emotion that comes out of the event, and it's those personal stories that are people you don't know, actually. You know, obviously there's the big stories, but for me it's the human stories.
Yeah.
That's what I'm most looking forward to telling, I think.
It's the most human drama of all, because it's physical, but it's also psychological, it's spiritual, and the emotion of it. I mean, I'm not going to get to go to the events that you're going to get to go, but I will be watching them on television, and you know the stories of these athletes and all that they've done. So, but thank you though. You're going to be here the whole time.
I'm going to be here the whole time, and obviously the events themselves, we've heard the fencing started today, but there's 22 sports that start here tomorrow on day 1 of the after the opening ceremony, so it's going to get really busy really quickly. So it's going to be a bit of a juggling act, I think, to keep across everything coming in, but we're going to hold our breath and see how it goes, because I think it's going to be a busy time for us all day and night here.
Yeah, I mean, a lot to cover. And I should also point out that Christina looks fantastic, but she only got 4 hours of sleep last night. There's a lot of long hours actually doing this job.
Well, you know, I'm doing the night shifts, which is a bit of a new thing for me, but I'm slowly managing to catch up on sleep, Sanjay, with your help as a doctor.
I'm not giving you any medications, just so we're clear. It's a drug-free zone.
Yeah, it's useful to have a doctor on site sometimes.
There you go, keeping everyone healthy. But thank you very much.
No worries.
I know you got stuff to do. But
it's been great to have you here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, and people will be watching you. Try and do that Facebook Live if you can tonight. People don't get to see that stuff, so they can maybe see it through your eyes.
I'll try and do it. Thanks,
all right,
Sanjay.
thank you very much.
Okay, see you later.
So Christina gets to talk about all the exciting things that are happening here, and you know, again, I don't want that to get lost as we've been talking about things like Zika and the concerns about the water and even the concerns about the mass casualty incidents or terrorism. I do want to point out, though, as a doctor, I got a chance to spend some time with the fire brigade, the ambulances that go out and take care of people. They will be taking care of people if there's a need for anything, whether it be people who have problems with dehydration, to something that's some more significant, like again these concerns about terrorism. And it's very interesting. There's sort of a tale of two hospitals here in Rio. There are the hospitals that are the public hospitals. They are public hospitals that like any other big city, but they have a significant overcrowding problem here, more than I've seen, and I've traveled just about all over the world. At any given time, in 4 or 5 of the public hospitals, there's about 150 beds that are needed, patients who can't get beds. Wait times are measured, and this is on a regular basis. Wait times are measured not in minutes or hours, but in days. And what is particularly striking to me, and just something to keep in the back of your mind, is that when a big world event like the Olympics or the World Cup or something like that comes into a town, they have to do immense preparation, obviously. Immense preparation in terms of security and in terms of the logistics. But they also want to make the town look as good as possible, understandably. But sometimes that can come at the cost of the citizens who live here. So, case in point, during the Olympics, all elective operations are going to be canceled at some of the biggest public hospitals in this area. Now think about that. You've already waited a long time. It's very difficult to even get in to see somebody here. And then all the elective operations are also canceled for this period of time. It's going to make it very challenging for the average citizen, and you might understand why, again, you have this sort of dichotomy. On one hand, you're very excited to get the Olympics in your hometown. On the other hand, you know that if you get sick as a local citizen, if you need an elective operation, it's going to be very challenging to do. Now, if you go online, you'll be able to see our story about this, but the other side of it, the flip side of it, the other world is what happens for the people who live in the Olympic Village. That includes the athletes, obviously, but also the coaches and the rest of the team, and it also includes family members of the athletes. They have a very good they have very good services available to them should they need it. First of all, within the village is what's known as a polyclinic. And again, you can go online and look at these images, but the polyclinic is a really state-of-the-art clinic. It can handle just about everything that doesn't, in fact, require someone to be admitted to the hospital. They have obviously lots of doctors and nurses on staff, but they also have a CT scanner, they have an MRI scanner, they have dental care that is available, they have all sorts of different things. It is so impressive, in fact, that many times some of the athletes who come from some of the most impoverished countries around the world, who don't on a regular basis have access to basic health care, will come to these polyclinics. They'll come here to get the health care that they don't normally or cannot receive in their home countries, which I thought was a really remarkable fact. And then if someone does need to get an admission to a hospital, they, again from the Olympic Village, they're not going to be going to the public hospitals, but rather to America's City Hospital, which is an incredible hospital that was just completed 2 years ago, and it was designed to model a big hospital in the United States, such as a Cleveland Clinic. Dr. Antonio Moratos, who is one of the guys who's managing the care of the athletes in the Olympic Village during the Olympics, took me on a tour of this place, and it is quite remarkable. It reminded me of any really highly resourced hospital back home. So again, on the one hand, you have the average citizen who's already had a hard enough time getting care here because of the concerns about the wait times in public hospitals, and then you have the people in the Olympic Village who have very different resources available to them. I will say, by the way, say hi to Don Riddell real quick. Don?
Hey, how are you?
Don's, you're going to be the hardest working guy here, I think.
Well, let's see. Hey, let's see. I kind of hope so. It's my first Olympics, so
This is your first? I'm surprised.
I want to be busy. I mean, I've covered Olympics from the studio for the last 15 years, but
First time you've actually been
never actually got here. Yeah. So
All right, was there something in particular that you're the most excited about? An event or
apart from just being here, I mean, we all love different things about the Olympics, right? And some people have their favourite event and favourite athlete. I think with 10,500 athletes coming here, that's 10,500 amazing stories.
Yeah.
And so many of them don't get told. And every single athlete that's here has achieved major things just by being here. And so for me personally, I think trying to find some of those stories and kind of get some of that emotion out of people is what I'm looking forward to. And we don't know what that's going to be yet. It's not necessarily medalists, it's just whatever happens, you know?
No, you're absolutely right, and I think that regardless of whether you're a physical specimen or an athlete yourself, the idea of pushing yourself in some way to do something that puts you at the top of the game. I mean, doing the very best, certainly the best that you can do, but the best that the world has to offer. I think it's very heartwarming. I think.
Yeah.
I was joking around with Christina. I got to be the guy often who's sort of the Grim Reaper. I'm talking about Zika and water and terrorism.
Right.
And you guys, you get to tell these incredibly inspirational stories, right?
Yeah. The other thing I might compare this to that I have done before, I did the royal wedding in London 5 years ago, and I sat outside Buckingham Palace for a week, and we all loved it because it was good news every single day, which is something, as you say, at CNN doesn't happen very often. And everybody was happy and smiling and upbeat, and I think hopefully that's what the next couple of weeks are going to be like here. But you're right. I mean, just these athletes are just absolutely remarkable. And I don't know if you've been talking about doping over the last few minutes on this broadcast, but this is something I think a lot of people who are just casual fans of the Olympics don't realise. When you get cheated here, you can't come back next week and have another go, or even next year. The Olympics is every 4 years, and these are sports that a lot of us don't really see anything of in between Olympics.
Very good point.
So these guys are doing the whole blood, sweat and tears thing completely out of the public eye for 4 years, and then they get here and then this is their one chance to do it. So not only do they have to do it, but they have to hope that they're competing in a clean playing field, and that's something that may or may, I think it will at some point be a storyline here. We've seen it in the build-up with Russia. I hope not, but
I think it's such an important storyline, and besides the fact that it's cheating, there is a scientific component to this as well. The type of cheating that has happened, and again, I don't know specifics right now, but it's remarkable the lengths that people will sometimes go through to try and get a leg up, if you will, in some of these sports.
And you've seen with the commercialization of sport, commercialization of the Olympics, just what is at stake. I mean, I need to phrase this correctly, but I mean, there's a whole risk and reward thing, and if you think you're not going to get caught, the reward could be massive.
Right.
I mean, I spoke to an American shot putter this week. He's called Adam Nelson. He won silver in the Athens Games in 2004. Turns out the guy that beat him had been doping. He got his gold medal 9 years later. It was handed to him at Atlanta Airport in the food court. That was his gold medal ceremony.
What a story.
It is amazing, and I mean, it's a unique story which he accepts, but it's a story he'd rather not be a part of. And I said, how much do you think this guy cost you in terms of lost earnings and revenue? And he said, $2.5 million. Wow. Are you ever going to get that back? He said. I said, and he said, where do you begin?
Instead of being on that podium, he's in a food court getting his gold medal.
And that's the really sad part of this.
Yeah.
And so, Michael Phelps this week said, I don't think I've ever competed in a clean Olympics. They've got to sort it out, but it's very difficult. I mean, I'm sure a man of your kind of background and training and experience is in some way fascinated by the science of this and how they do it, but it's very difficult testing for these drugs when half the time you don't even know what they are.
No,
what are you looking for?
There's laboratories literally around the world that are creating new PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs, that are designed to not only enhance performance but also to elude being detected. And so it is challenging. And it also brings up the notion of sometimes what exactly do they do for people? Is it a question of improving their ability to recover from workouts? Is it their ability to actually be faster, stronger, or whatever during the actual event? But it's fascinating. But I wish you luck.
Yeah, and you too, Sanjay.
You're going to be here for the duration. Yes. It's funny, we live in the same town and we never get to see each other, so we got to come all the way to Rio for that.
But one of the things I do love about the Olympics, and I've already realised it, is CNN's a great family. It's a global family. We've both been at the company a long time, and it's a great opportunity to see old friends who are maybe working in different bureaus now, might not have seen for a couple of years, and that's a great part of it behind the scenes for us.
It is, and we could easily just be saying this, but I think it's absolutely true. CNN does feel like that's family here, and it's actually really nice to see these folks, the camera guys, the engineers, everybody.
We're very lucky.
Yeah. Well, so Don's here for the inspirational part of the thing, and I go back to the Grim Reaper part of it. But
have fun with that.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
But I just want to point out one other quick thing about the hospital situation I was telling you about earlier, and this is a little bit of a good note, and that is those polyclinics, which again have these remarkable resources, CT care services for the athletes who don't have this at home. the promise is, and we'll believe it when we see it, but the promise is that all of that equipment and those resources will be donated to the public hospitals at the end of the Olympics. So as much as it can be challenging, it is always challenging for the local citizens, more challenging during the Olympics because their elective operations get canceled. If they do get some of the resources that they normally don't have access to at the end of all this, that could be a good thing. I'll just finish by giving you this, something that you should take in and enjoy very, very much. Copacabana Beach, that's Copacabana. Sugarloaf Mountain off in the distance. I think Ben is showing you that. Oh, people on the beach, people in the water. It's an important thing to note as well. People out there swimming and paddleboarding. It's a beautiful sight. So enjoy. Thanks for checking in with us.